All right. Good morning, everyone. Wow, that is hot mic. I'm going to call to order the zoning and comprehensive planning hearing for Wednesday, May 6, 2020. The time is 9:33 a.m. Let's begin this morning with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Okay, the first case on the agenda this morning is a conservation lands update. Let's ask our staff to introduce this item. Okay, there you go. There's your mic.
The first case on today's agenda is an adoption hearing for CPA 2019-00006, Conservation Lands Update. This is a county-initiated amendment which will designate more than 5,700 acres to the Conservation Lands Future Land Use category. These properties are Conservation 2020 lands and are within 3 different preserves. The preserves are Bob Janes, Estero Marsh, and Olga Shores. The amendments were transmitted to the state reviewing agencies, and there are no objections. Staff requests that the board adopt the amendments, and I am here to answer any questions.
Very good. Do we have, will we have a motion for approval from Commissioner Mann? Do we have Commissioner Sandelli? Okay. Do we have any questions for our staff on this at all? No? No questions? All right. I'll call for public comment. Does anybody wish to speak in public comment on the conservation lands update? Okay, and I don't see any out here, and we have no public waiting anywhere else then that would want to comment on this? Nobody here. Nobody here. Okay, very good. All right, so we'll close public comment. Any further discussions on this?
Thanks, staff, for doing all the great work on these conservation lands.
Yeah, no, fantastic work. Very good. All right, any idea, what was the total acreage we're putting into conservation?
5,700 acres.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much, Ms. Rodstowski. Can I just call you Mickey?
Yes.
I don't want to be disrespectful, but Mickey's easier to say.
Mickey R.
Miss Mickey. All right. Well, thank you very much. All right, I'll go ahead and call the question. Any objections? No objections. That motion carries unanimously. All right. And then we'll move on to our second case. You're going to present both the comp plan and the zoning at the same time?
Yes, please.
Okay, go ahead.
Would you like me to wait for the applicants to come into the room?
Yeah, let's do that. We'll pause for just a moment while we get the applicants in the room. All right. Perfect. Good morning. All right, and so that's the applicant team is here now. All right, Miss Mickey, you can begin your presentation.
The next 3 cases on the agenda are related to Vintage Commerce Center. The cases, again, will be presented together, but action must be taken on the comprehensive plan amendment before the zoning. The first 2 cases are Lead Plan Amendments, CPA 2018-1001-12 and 13. These are privately initiated text and map amendments to change the future land use category from industrial commercial interchange to general interchange and to amend Table 1B to accommodate residential acreage. The amendments were transmitted to the state reviewing agencies with no objections. Staff recommends that the board adopt these amendments. The companion zoning case is DCI 2018-10022. The applicant is requesting to amend the Vintage Commerce Center commercial plan development, which was adopted by Zoning Resolution Z05019, to allow up to 350,000 square feet of commercial, office, and light industrial uses, 300 hotel and motel units, and 308 multiple family dwelling units. The hearing examiner recommended approval with conditions. There were 2 participants of record. Staff is here to answer any questions from the board regarding the comprehensive plan amendments and zoning. Please remember again, You need to take action on the lead plan amendments before the zoning. The applicant is also here to answer any questions or make a presentation if necessary.
Okay, so real quickly, Commissioners, we're going to do this in two parts. We've got to handle the comprehensive plan part first, and then we've got to handle the zoning second. So the comprehensive plan part, that will be open to public comment to all, and then the zoning will be open to the participants of record. So first, let's start with, do you have any questions for our staff before I move on to the applicant? No questions for our staff? Okay, very good. Does the applicant wish to make a presentation today?
Not unless you'd like to hear one.
Anybody want to hear one from the applicant?
I'll move the CPA.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the CPA and a second from Commissioner Manning. The motion was from Mann, the second was from Manning. Okay, very good. Let me call for, is there anybody here who wishes to speak in public comment on the comprehensive plan amendment? Okay, we have none that I see in the audience and none waiting outside, so very good. Let me go ahead and deal with the motion then that's on the comprehensive plan amendment. Any further discussion on that? Are there any objections? No objections, that motion carries unanimously. All right, moving on to the zoning case. I'll call the participants of record for the zoning case. Is Alan Freeman here? No? And what about Michael Maurer? Michael, would you like to speak on the zoning case this morning? Okay, well, very good. Well, then we'll go ahead and close public comment on the zoning. Do we have a motion to approve the hearing examiner's recommendation?
Second.
The motion is from Commissioner Manning and the second is from Commissioner Pendergrass. Do we have any discussion or questions? Okay.
I'd like to thank the applicant for coming forward with this. This is where we want the infill to be at this Alico I-75 interchange with the land development code with this, all the infill. This is where you want it by the roads. So thank you for your business in Lee County.
Very good. Thank you very much. Good deal. All right. Well, thank you very much. If there's no further discussion, I'll go ahead and call the question. Are there any objections? No objections. That motion carries unanimously. Thank you, folks. Uh-huh.
Good to see you all.
Good to see you all, too, from more than 6 feet away, but very good to see you
I
all.
know, but I don't see people now, so I like to see you all.
All right. And we'll go ahead and pause to get the next team in here before we introduce the next case.
I'm gonna get my seat.
So we're just waiting to get the team in here for the Verdana Village and the Preservation Overlay Text Amendment. Good morning.
Who's that girl behind the mask? That's Tina.
Yes.
Morning, Joe. All right, you may begin.
The next two cases on the agenda are related to Verdana Village. Again, both the lead plan amendment and rezoning request will be presented together. I believe that the applicant's presentation is also formatted the same. And please consider the comp plan amendment before taking action on the zoning. The first case is PA 2019-00008 regarding EEP-CO text amendments. This is a privately initiated lead plan amendment to provide a threshold of 300,000 square feet of commercial development in Southeast Lee County. This was commercial square footage that was reallocated from the whole, or from certain mixed-use nodes to be applied in other areas of Southeast Lee County, and to allow within the environmental enhancement and preservation communities overlay development of neighborhood commercial uses, an additional 15% residential units when enhanced regional benefits are provided, and to also clarify timing for the termination of agricultural operations and recording of conservation easements in the EEPCO. The amendment was transmitted to the state reviewing agencies. There are no objections. Staff recommends that the board adopt the amendments. The companion rezoning is case number DCI 2019-00018 for the Verdana Village MPD, which is a request to 1,138 acres from residential plan development, mixed-use plan development, and agriculture to mixed-use plan development to allow a maximum of 2,400 residential dwelling units and 100,000 square feet of commercial development. The hearing examiner recommended approval with conditions. A memo was distributed to the board last week from our zoning manager, Audra Ennis, providing clarification to the conditions. This was prepared in conjunction with the applicant. Both staff and applicant agree on these revisions. There was one participant of record, and staff is here to answer any questions of the board. And as you know, the applicant is here and is ready to make a presentation and also answer questions.
Okay, so before we move into the applicant presentation, does anybody have questions for our staff before we hear from the applicant? No? Okay, very good. Let's do this. We'll hear from the applicant, and then we'll go ahead and take the comp plan first, and then the zoning. Okay, does the applicant wish to make a presentation this morning?
We have a presentation available, but we agree with staff, we agree with the hearing examiner, and your previous transmittal of the comp plan, so unless you want to hear from us.
Okay, very good. Commissioners, then, anybody want to hear from that presentation then? No? We have a motion to approve the comprehensive plan amendment from Commissioner Mann.
Second.
We have a second from Commissioner Pendergrass. This is the comprehensive plan amendment that we're talking about, so the public comment on this one is open to everybody. Does anybody wish to speak in public comment on the comprehensive plan amendment? Okay, and there's nobody waiting outside to talk on this? No, perfect, okay. All right, well then, we'll move on from public comment. Do we have any discussion on the motion that's on the floor? Any questions? All right, I'll call the question then. Are there any objections to the motion on the floor? No objections, that motion carries unanimously. All right, then let's move to the zoning, and no presentation then necessary on the zoning, but we do have participants of record. I would like to call. The participant of record is Julianne Thomas from the Conservancy. Julianne, are you here? Okay.
Chairman, if I could, just for the record, that she did send an email, and I did review her comments about this case. I had no comments about it, though.
She indicated in her email she was not going to attend today. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, very good. All right, very good. Then that closes the participants of record section. Yes, sir. Yeah, go ahead and step to the mic and say your name for the record too, Mr. Blacksmith.
My name is Ray Blacksmith, President of Camerata Companies. We are the landowner and developer. Julian Thomas from the Conservancy provided us with a copy of their objection to the project. I forwarded our responses to her letter by email form, and I would appreciate if that email letter would be added to the record. For your sake, we have met personally with tours with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, with the Army Corps of Engineers, with the district, with staff, on site for a full-blown presentation and a walkover on the project itself. For the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, we had the state of Florida director for U.S. Fish and Wildlife and his boss of the Southeast United States out of Atlanta, Georgia, fly in and walk the site. And we've got U.S. Fish and Wildlife, the Corps, the district's full support for the project. And our responses to the Conservancy's issues, I think we've answered all their questions. And one of the things she said about Panthers, we've paid Panther PHUs with Panther Bank already for the project.
Excellent, Mr. Blacksmith. Thank you, sir. And Michael, we can put that in the record as well? Handed to the clerk? Perfect, yeah. It's hard. I can't see the clerk. She's around on the other side of the post, but very good. Commissioner Pendergrass, you had a question?
Ray, while you're at the podium, since you have such a great buffer now on the southern portion of the property leading up to the crew, I mean, did you have support of other environmental groups, crew, Audubon, and?
We had multiple meetings with the Audubon Society, who we back up against. They're our most southerly neighbor. This project consists of two originally approved developments. One was Pepperland Ranch, the other was Verdana. Pepperland received zoning approval in 2018. You provided Verdana approval in 2019. The Verdana layout provided a design that put their residential pod approximately 500 feet north of the Audubon Society. When we acquired the Verdana, the Pepperland Ranch, and then the donut hole piece of 40 acres, that what we're calling Cam 40, combined those properties, we took all the approvals and threw them away and started over. And our biggest change was pushing our development pod. Now we're about 3,100 feet off of the Audubon property. We've worked with the Audubon about trying to provide them the drainage, the water that they need to fulfill their needs, to hold back water to help them too. Our engineer is working with their engineer. They've been supportive of the project also.
I mean, I think that's the most impressive thing about this project is it's now, instead of being a couple different developments, it's one cohesive project that seems to make a lot of sense environmentally, so.
Well, with the enhancements, the flowways too, in the green space is going to be a tremendous project. And if it's anything like you did at the place, congratulations.
Thank you. I mean, one of the biggest things that, and again, yes, we bought the original developments. They were zoned. We could have started construction and been building roads right now. We threw the plans away, started all over, and Joe said, we're going to own 2,138 acres. What can we do more than what others have done? And we're looking for additional density. That does not increase the footprint of the residential pod. We're asking for 100,000 square feet of commercial space. What can we do to justify those needs? And if you, like, staff has a copy of our presentation. I did a Netflix documentary I thought I was going to present to you this morning, showing there's 15 slides of all the regional benefits over and above what would normally be required. We're going to hold back 30% of the drainage area in a flood condition on our property.
Wow.
To try to help the residents downstream from us. And to do that, we had to make the flowways bigger, the berms higher. And staff has been supportive of that, and the hearing examiner too.
Very good. Well, thank you very much. Does anybody wish to make a motion? The hearing examiner's recommendation is approval with conditions. The motion for approval is from Commissioner Pendergrass, and the second is from Commissioner Manning. Do we have discussion on the motion? We've already called for the participants of record then. Yeah, Mickey?
Can you please consider the revisions that were prepared by the applicant and staff?
Part of the motion.
Okay, so Commissioner Pendergrass, you made the motion. Would you include the revisions that were outlined in the memo by staff into your motion?
Change my motion to reflect those changes.
Very good. And the seconder amends his as well. Okay, so those are included. Michael, is everything the way it needs to be then? Okay, very good. All right, any further discussion? Commissioner Sandelli.
I had the opportunity to go out before the pandemic to visit the place, and with a lot of the stakeholders that were there that day, which included U.S. Fish and Wildlife, Army Corps of Engineers, Swift Mud, so on and so forth. And I wanted to see, after all these efforts were brought together, what the final product was. I can tell you that nobody gets everything they want, but to me, I felt that way. That was a template as we go forward, because they made every consideration in the world, and it wasn't just from one side. It was everybody saying, wow, this is really amazing. And I think if anybody goes out there and takes a look at that to forecast what the future is going to look like, I think they'll be very impressed with the efforts that we're making to work collectively together to find a response that satisfies just about everybody. So congratulations to the team then and on the future one.
Thank you very much. And to further that comment, one of the things that we found typical in our developments is the first lots to go are the lake lots, the pod lots. Everybody wants to be against water. And we created the template to do restoration work at the place. And as it's turned out, we've had equal sales to lake lots to the conservation restoration lands, because the restoration lands has turned into an amenity for the development.
Wow, that's great. No,
I carry the pictures on my phone. I show everybody.
well, very good. All right, so any further discussion then? All right, then I'll call the question. Are there any objections? No objections. That motion carries unanimously, and we have no other business before us.